We're shaving Peach's beard. Ha ha ha. Welcome, everybody, to Court Cousins, episode 20. My name is Kyle. I'm joined, as always, by my cousin, my co-host, Jason the Peach. We've got a wonderful show for you today, ladies and gentlemen. Lots of excitement in the Magic community. We're going to check in with each other. We love each other. We're cousins for our ROLO Check In. We'll scour the interwebs in our social media roundup. This time of year, we've got to do a mock draft, Peach. Then we will enter the trade cage. We'll do a little bit of a recap on where we stand for our playoff bracket and whose hair is out of there. And then we will go into the new, shiny, large finish.
So large.
But before we do any of that, really want to give a shout out to all of our second cousins. That's our top tier on our Patreon. You can be on the All-Star second tier and get a shout out. Shout out to our second cousins, Gloria, Damien, Nadra, and Connor. Thanks so much for your support. It really helps. And if you want to get involved, ladies and gentlemen, please join up on that Patreon. We do a raffle every single month for a cool Magic giveaway. And this month, we gave away a set of 25 assorted NBA Orlando Magic basketball cards. And the winner for that was Nadra. So congratulations, Nadra. You can have your own collection now.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
Yeah. So for only $5 a month, you can support the show and get into the raffle. We want to do more cards, jerseys, all types of really cool Magic swag in the future. So
Indeed.
We appreciate the support, ladies and gentlemen. And now, Peach, let's go right into the ROLO check-in. I'm going to start because I got a vent here.
Good. I'm glad you're starting.
Okay, I got a vent. I have an exhausted Robin Lopez because I'm beat right now. I'm emotionally spent from all of the energy in the Orlando Magic community. I'm excited, but I did not know how just draining it is, interacting so much with people online and all the different possibilities flowing through my head. On top of that, you're moving in. That's a new situation.
I sleep right over there?
You sleep right over there. That's a whole different change. I've got my grad school coming to an end. I almost failed a class. Now it's an incomplete. Had to do all this paperwork. That was stressful. And the end of the school year, students are just going absolutely crazy. It's like herding cats at school with middle schoolers right now. So it's just a really draining time right now. I am an exhausted, perspiring Robin Lopez right now, Peach. But the end is in sight. We have Memorial Day weekend here. Looking forward to some R&R.
Well-deserved, friend. And from the look on this Rolo's face, I think he actually looks a little more comfortable than maybe, you sound like you're feeling. But you know what? He was probably trained. You know, you do a lot of cardio, you're ready for that kind of stuff, but you can't really prep for all this stuff. Herding cats, by the way, is tough. I've been doing it a lot since I moved to Connecticut.
For a man who's allergic to cats, you've been it's a lot of felines.
That ups the degree of difficulty quite a bit because I don't want to touch them.
Elbowing them on.
So you legit have to kind of be like, come on now. It's way harder. For my ROLO check-in, I got to get serious for a minute.
All right.
And I've gone a little colored outside the lines today, but with good reason. I've chosen Steve Kerr, former Orlando Magic player. If you haven't seen the press conference he gave before Game 4, go watch it immediately. It still gives me the feels. I've watched it several times. Everything that he said, it just, you feel it, right? Like we all feel that. And it's a tough time out there. Things are kind of crazy. I was in Buffalo last week. I got to see how it affected that community. Whether you're attached to it or not, we're all human beings here. It doesn't matter. We're all from the same country. We're all humans. And people are stuff's going weird. And what this check-in always is, it's about checking in with people. It's about mental health. And we can't necessarily do anything about the gun rights. I'm focused on people's mental health. Let's stop this before it gets to where it's been going. Check in with your people. That's why we do this at the beginning of the show. It's not just so we can make jokes and celebrate the majestic Robin Lopez. we're actually checking in on each other to make sure things are going well. So check in with your loved ones. Make sure everyone's doing okay. You know, we all had a lot to go through in the last 2 or 3 years, and it's never going to be over. Life's weird. It's tough. Get out there. Pay attention. Do your check-ins, people.
Thanks, Peach.
Yeah.
That's a good reminder about the essence of this segment for us, because we have fun with it, but really I do care how you're doing, and I appreciate this time.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Same, sir.
So thank you, everyone out there. As Peach said, check on your loved ones. Have those real conversations. The place where you have those fabricated conversations is the rest of the internet.
Yes.
And the Orlando Magic community has been having a plethora of conversations, and we've been scouring the internet for all of those combos, and we've got quite a few for this social media roundup.
Yeah, if I may, you're using the word scour here.
Yeah.
We used to have to scour.
That's true.
Now there's stuff falling in our laps.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, we've been more just throwing the net in and just trawling, and everything's coming up.
Yep.
And thank you, everyone out there who's adding us at @court_cousins on Twitter and Instagram. That makes our job so much easier. Much appreciated. The first one is from Fantasy Magic at James Bailey Jr. And he writes on Twitter, I pretty much wear Magic gear 24/7, and prior to the draft, hardly anyone would stop me to talk Magic basketball. Now I get stopped in the gym, store, and just taking a walk around the neighborhood. The excitement of the #1 pick is definitely real. Now, I have a feeling James Bailey Jr. may be in the Florida area, but has anyone stopped you in Connecticut for your Magic gear, Peach?
Yeah, I've had a
Really?
few people be like, oh, you guys got the #1 pick, or friends I know who know I'm a Magic fan, reached out and texted, and even my dad texted me and was like, oh, great, who do you think they're going to pick? And I'm like, Dad, we do a show about this kind of stuff. So, yeah, people are definitely like, it put the Magic in the average fan's eyes again and said, hey, we're still here, by the way, and we got the #1 pick and we're coming. And if they'd been listening to us, they'd know we were coming.
Of
but
course.
now, a little extra bump, and we'll take it.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think anyone has stopped me yet. Definitely friends have been reaching out, though, like crazy, because they know how much of a Orlando Magic weirdo I am.
Well, we all have, I have a ton of friends who like all kinds of random teams in all sports. So
Yeah.
if something happens to them, I'm like, whoa, the Cleveland Browns, you guys got the #1 pick again. Like, we all got that one friend that you got to. I had a friend who was like the Bengals when they made the Super Bowl. I'm like, hey, man, I hope they win on your behalf.
Yeah.
I knew they weren't, but.
Well, it's nice. We probably got a lot of people pulling for us in our
think
corner.
so,
now.
yeah.
Well, enjoy those interactions, ladies and gentlemen, because it doesn't happen as often as we'd like. Now, some more positive news from Orlando Magic HQ, our friends over at the Ozone Podcast. Love what Al and Anthony do. Putting together another nice graphic, and this one is to celebrate none other than Franz Wagner being named to the all-rookie first team. I was going to revolt and burn some shit down if this didn't happen. There was some talk about Giddey being ousted, but Franz was really the consistent guy all year long.
Yeah.
He deserved to be there. I think the other guys that were solidly in there were Evan Mobley, Scotty Barnes. Cade Cunningham got in there even though he was injured for a fat portion of the season.
Sure.
And then you had to have Franz in there. And Jalen Green snuck in there at the end because he had a hot finish. Josh Giddey, a notable leave off. But, of course, we have now every draft you hope to get a guy that's going to be on the all-rookie team. It wasn't the guy that we thought it might be. When we took 5 Jalen Suggs, we probably thought it was going to be him.
True.
But we got one, ladies and gentlemen. And Jalen didn't get on this team, but he may be still.
I think if he'd have played a full season, he would have been in the conversation.
Yeah, the best is yet to come for Jalen. So the good news here is we have a cornerstone, a guy that was on the all-rookie team, one of the top 5 rookies in the league. And you don't need to get the best guy, but you need to get a guy when you're drafting high. And we got Franz Wagner. We got a guy.
Indeed. I'm very glad he made this list. I'm glad that Mike Greenberg and Jalen Rose and who is it, the Pharaoh there, the big dude. He's a terrible
Kendrick Perkins.
Kendrick Perkins, I call him the Pharaoh. Those three guys didn't have Franz Wagner on the all-rookie team, and had
Blasphemy.
votes. And I don't know what they're watching. I think a lot of times they're not watching,
They're not
and that's
watching.
the problem. They're
Yep.
just going by hearsay. And if you weren't listening to Orlando Magic-based podcasts, you might not have heard of Franz Wagner, and that's a shame because he definitely belonged on this team, and I'm glad he's there.
We're going to talk a little bit more about the ignorance of the national media in just a moment. But first, we've got to get to the rock steady Jeff Weltgod at MagicMan816. Peach, it was tough whittling down to just one Weltgod post for this social media roundup, but I had to settle on this one. It is a picture, a beautiful picture of that large domed individual that we all love, Jeff Weltman. And next to it, in quotes, is... defense is cool, but you got to have that 25 points per game guy to win at the next level. Paulo Banchero is that guy.
Yeah.
Quote from Jeff Weltgod.
Weltgod's getting big, man. He got a shout out by somebody at the draft lottery party. I mean, people are, sometimes I forget that's not his real name. I hear this so often that I'm like, Weltgod's going to make the right choice. And I'm like, wait, that's not his real name.
Yeah, it kind of has become ubiquitous for me. Whenever I'm talking about Weltman, I just say Weltgod.
I know.
So it's the same.
Happening.
And the reason that I had to pick out this is because we saw on a couple of different media, especially on Facebook, it was like 30 comments, and probably 20 of them were responding to it as if Jeff Weltman had actually made this comment,
right.
taking it deadly serious. And I know Jeff Weltgod, MagicMan816, wherever you are out there, that's exactly what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
The troll was a success.
Yeah.
Tip of the cap, sir.
Well, I don't know. I think sometimes you just make these things as a joke, and it's obviously like I saw it, and I just laughed.
Right.
But some people saw it and were like, wait a minute. And it's like, why don't you check the sources first? Check it out. Make sure it's coming from a good place because, I make a lot of jokes, and I hate it when somebody tries to tell me the real answer, and I'm looking at them like, hey, man, I'm trying to have fun and make a joke here.
Yeah.
And
you're taking it way too serious.
Yeah, you're taking it way too serious, bro.
So, Magic Man just wanted to give us a lesson in corroborating our evidence.
Mm-hmm.
That's so thoughtful of him. Thank you. And Anthony Velez of at OMagicHQ of the Ozone Podcast gave thanks or was given thanks by the Heat. Bammy Butler's burner posted, if we end up playing the Warriors, this is the reason they will have home court. And it's our game against the Heat from 410 where we beat the Heat.
Got 'em.
125 to 111. And Anthony says, you're welcome. We also have Michael Mancini, at Fancini Mancini, saying, damn, we've been playing the long con this whole time. I mean, that's a lot of fans at the end of the season, maybe myself included. No, not myself included. But a lot of people were fretting the wins at the end of the season because it may hurt the tank. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we can look back and laugh at that. But, there was some concern from some people, even though the numbers weren't that different. Mm-hmm. And this makes it all worth it. Just scorning our stepbrother in Florida that we have so much angered history with and so many injuries from, and just seeing that little bastard Kyle Lowry sucking it up too is just a little cherry on top.
Yeah, I don't care for Kyle Lowry, but I do like Victor Oladipo still.
Yeah, that's true.
I am kind of pulling for the Heat because I'm anti-Boston, as you know.
Wow.
Despite actually wearing a pair of Boston Celtics slippers as we do the show.
Yeah.
They were $5. I lived in Boston. I needed slippers. What are you going to do?
And you have your classic Boston Celtics shades right here.
Yes,
you want to tell the story of these people?
Well, I brought those in for you. As a youth, I was a Boston Celtics fan. The Orlando Magic didn't exist. It was the early 80s. This was a different time. Larry Bird and Danny Ainge and Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish. They only showed the Celtics on TV where I was living. They were doing well at the time. It was kind of either them or the Lakers. So that's what I did. And then in '89, the first Magic game I went to, I was actually wearing a Celtics hat, made out of corduroy, by the way.
Ooh.
Corduroy. Terrible hat material, by the way.
Hot.
But, wore that to the first Magic game, took it off after that game, and never looked back.
Wow.
But, yeah, there was a pass there where there was a Boston connection.
Yeah.
That it makes me feel icky.
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
Good. It should.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I've all the way forgiven. You should have anticipated that the Orlando Magic were going to come into existence and just scorned the Celtics from the beginning, but I don't know.
Well, at least I love the basketball.
This is true.
So
this is true. All right, so now we're going to go into a little bit more draft talk from our social media roundup. There was a number of people posting, retweeting, reposting posts just like this. And I'm going to read this one from @MagicOnTop. They were retweeting a @LegionHoops post that is a report that quote-unquote rival NBA teams believe the Magic will select Jabari Smith with the #1 overall pick. And Magic on Top said, it's just so misleading. Why the F would any other NBA teams know what we're doing with our pick? They know nothing. And I mean, I couldn't agree more, Magic on Top. We know nothing about our own damn team. How the hell is anyone going to know anything about what we're doing? This is where maybe the tight-lipped say that 3 times fast. Tight-lipped ship of the Weltman Hammond crew is actually benefiting. All that practice that they got in not telling our fan base anything about our players all year, it's now paying off.
I mean, we joked about it all year long, and we wondered when our players were going to come back. We got nothing. We got nothing. You think they're telling people what they're doing here? No. Plus, even if they are, they're probably leaking information out to get trade offers from other people who might want this player or that player. I believe none of this stuff. Every time I see one come up, I just scroll right past it. I don't care. I don't care what you think you've heard or anything like that until it's draft day and the draft pick is made. And then afterwards, unless we trade it, I'm just not believing any of this pre-draft stuff. It's a good smokescreen to see like what some of the other teams react to or what their fan base is interested in. I mean, you don't want to completely tick off your fan base, I would hope. Think about it.
Yeah, I think the same people that are believing these are believing the Jeff Weltgod post from a moment ago.
Yeah.
Same folks.
Yeah. Just see the comedy in it and move on is what I say.
All right, couple more here. All right, we have a return from Johnny Footlong. Great name. @RGZNBA posts Markelle Fultz averaged almost 20 and 10 per 36 minutes after returning from a torn ACL, and it's barely mentioned when pundits describe who the Magic should draft. They have no idea what's coming this year. And this is what I was talking about when you brought up the national media. We see these posts about people from national pundits, and they're not mentioning our key pieces. I mean, Markelle Fultz, people don't understand out there how important Markelle Fultz is to our team. He is going to be the guy that makes this engine go. And I'm going to throw my computer out the window if I see any more people on draft boards and comment threads talking about lineups that have Cole Anthony in there instead of Markelle Fultz. I've seen that so many times. Cole Anthony is more of a household name right now than Markelle Fultz, and that's understandable, but Cole's coming off the bench. Markelle is our starting point guard.
I'm with you. If you're going to throw your computer out a window, by the way, you could do it one of the downstairs ones.
Yeah.
I live up here now.
I'm not going to do
that. But, it's crazy to watch all these like regular YouTube channels I watch or sports shows I watch, and all of a sudden like, oh, they're talking about the Magic. But they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I never really realized how little they know about something until all of a sudden they kind of have to know about it. And I had a sports talk show back in the day where I tried to spread myself thin, and we talked about every sport under the sun. Yeah. And sometimes I would kind of come to the table with weak takes because I wasn't super invested with that. You got to have one.
Yeah.
But I wasn't like as prepared or knowledgeable about every single crumb, every little team, every little person on something. When they start talking about the Magic, I'm just like, oh, these guys don't know what they're talking about. And I turn off ESPN or the shows I would normally watch on YouTube because, like, they're not even pronouncing players' names right sometimes. Right. Or, like, they don't know about Markelle Fultz is one of the biggest ones. So, like, this tweet in particular really hits home here that, like, a lot of these guys, they don't know what they're talking about. And they are not ready for what the Orlando Magic can be next year. No one is going to see them coming except for all of us.
Right. We know. And Peach, you're right. All these national pundit takes, they're like feet, Peach. Everyone's got them, and a lot of them stink.
Yeah.
But R.J. Hampton doesn't mind because R.J. Hampton tweeted out,
"Yes,
my name is R.J. Hampton, and I really like feet."
Yep.
And that was definitely R.J. Hampton
with the feet and the tongue. Can I interest you in a Celtics slipper?
Game used.
Oh, game used. There's an insole in there, too. You can reuse it. There's some value. Yeah, this was obviously Cole getting a hold of RJ's account.
Be Cole Anthony, right?
But that is good fun, man.
Yeah.
I luckily didn't grow up in an era where I had Twitter, but I did grow up in an era where we had Facebook. And if you left your Facebook up on your computer,
free game,
people would change your
Yep.
your header or whatever, and or MySpace back in the day.
Yeah.
And they would change a little part of your header, and you'd try to see how long you could get it to stay there before they noticed. Always a fun time.
That's fair game. That's like the rule.
Yeah.
If you pass out with your shoes on, you can be written on.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
that's the same
That
thing
is the
that's
rule.
happened here. RJ, hopefully he wasn't passed out. I hope he's in the gym. Is he old enough to have a drink? I think he just is.
Oh,
now.
yeah. I think they're partying somewhere. I believe the three gentlemen I saw on a boat the other day with
Okay.
Mo Bamba as well. And
So maybe this is what happened. He passed out with his shoes on and the cell phone unlocked, and this is what you get, RJ.
you got to lock the phone, man.
Now you're a footman.
It's 2022, man.
Yeah. But he saw it, and he didn't delete it.
Yeah.
Because he is a foot guy, and he just wanted to see if he got any,
all right.
feelers. He's, I'm going to leave this out there.
Oh.
See what comes back.
That's a good strategy.
Yeah. Oh, this was a joke.
Got a weird kink, everybody? Have your friend drop it on Twitter. See what you get for replies. Life advice.
Life advice from Peach and Kyle. And now let's go into the mock draft and our advice to some teams and where they're drafting, who they should draft. We're going to go through this. We're putting some graphics on the board right now so you can get a feel.
We're going to
for how
rock
they're
out with
going.
our mock out right
Yeah.
now, so watch out.
Do you want to just go through our top 10 and then talk through them real quick?
Sure.
All right. So why don't you tell the people your top 10?
Oh, my top 10 are I've got Jabari Smith Jr. going to the Magic. Then I've got Chet Holmgren going to the Thunder. Paulo going to the Rockets. I've got Keegan Murray going to the Kings next. I've got Jaden Ivey going to the Pistons.
Interesting.
I've always seen him in that jersey for some reason. Just seemed like it was going to fit. Shaden Sharp to the Pacers. I've got a trade. I feel like
What
there's
is
going to be.
this?
I feel like there's going to be 2 trades within the top 10, but
Oh,
I took a
you did
stab
not.
at one.
Dang it.
I traded. Portland's moving. Or the Wizards are moving up to take Dyson Daniels from G League Ignite.
Okay.
And then the Pelicans are taking Johnny Davis. I've got the Spurs with Jalen Duren. And then the Blazers, who swapped with the Wizards, are taking Nikola Jovic.
That's a reach. Okay.
And that's my top 10.
All right. My top 10, I got the Orlando Magic taking Chet Holmgren. I have the Oklahoma City Thunder taking Jabari Smith. I have Houston taking Paolo Banchero. I have Sacramento taking Jaden Ivey. I have Detroit taking Shaden Sharp. I have Indiana taking Keegan Murray. I have Portland taking Jeremy Sokan. I'm the national pundit. I don't know how this gentleman's name is pronounced. We saw him at Baylor. I got New Orleans taking AJ Griffin. I got San Antonio taking Jalen Duren, and I have Washington taking Benedict Mathurin.
So
Let's talk through it.
Well, let's talk through the fact that this graphic is wrong on our screen. That's why I'm so confused.
Well, we'll change it for the real screen for the
Okay.
people. But
All right,
yeah,
fine.
I made a change. You took my
made a
first view,
last-second
and then I
change.
made a
All right, I
change, and
see.
you didn't
I see.
see that. So
go ahead and tell me why you think we're going to trade him then.
Well-
Because that's the only reason you would draft that guy number 1.
Well, no. We decided that we're doing this based on what we think will actually happen.
Okay.
And so originally when I approached this mock draft, I had Paolo Banchero number 1 because that's who I want.
That's who you want.
That's
Sure.
who I want the Orlando Magic to
Right.
draft. I want Paolo Banchero because I think we need another facilitator. I mean, Cole struggled to do it as the A guy last year. Markelle Fultz is a facilitator, and I think he can be a deadly scorer. Franz is really good off ball. Hopefully we'll see the ball in his hand a little bit more. Jalen Suggs really kind of struggled with the ball in his hand with turnover issues. So he's kind of a question mark in terms of a guy who can make something happen. And outside of that, am I forgetting anyone? We don't really have a lot of creators. And so Paolo Banchero, I think, fills a need as a creator. Something off the dribble. But this is not what we're talking about right now. We are talking about the mock draft. And I believe, sadly, for you, Peach, that the Orlando Magic are going to take Chet Holmgren.
You believe that in your heart of hearts?
I believe that in my heart of hearts. Let me tell you why.
Wow.
Let me tell you why. Because I just feel it. With the Weltman-Hammond front office, they love those lanky guys with huge wingspans. And based on Hammond's comments at the Combine, where he was talking about, we want to get a guy who could be a rookie of the year, but that's not really important to us. What we're looking for is a guy that's going to develop and be a really good player down the end of the road. Doesn't have to be the best player, but we want him to be, develop into a really good player. He dropped develop a couple times, and that's what really got me thinking.
It got me scared.
Are they setting us up, the fan base up, for a Chet Holmgren pick right now? It kind of sounded like that.
I thought it was a trade down.
It could be that maybe, but I really felt like the fact that he was mentioning multiple times that we're looking for the best guy long term, not the best guy right now necessarily, that got the goosebumps going, and I think that guy is Chet.
That's the exact opposite of who that guy is.
No,
if he's going to be good, he's going to be good in the first couple seasons because he's still young and he can probably bounce back from simple things like twisted ankles and stuff really easily. But like 4 or 5 years from now, he's going to be broken down. 6 years from now, he might be on a team's bench just taking up salary.
That's not what Weltman and Hammond think.
I got to believe in my heart of hearts the Orlando Magic are not going to waste their first pick on Chet Holmgren. I think they realize that there are some question marks there, and you don't have a question mark player when you're drafting number 1. You want to be confident in everything that they've got in their bag, except for being friends with one of your current players. That should not be a factor here. I heard some guy on Fox Sports that's a Magic fan talking about how important chemistry is. And it is important. Yeah. But the chemistry stems from your team leaders and your head coach. And we already have that in place. So whichever one of these guys joins the team, we're not looking for that from them. They don't need to mesh. They're going to just mesh in because we've got a good thing going. Everyone's in a good mood. Like, I feel any player who's not toxic themselves could come in and just blend in with this group of guys. It's a good group of dudes.
It's a great culture. We don't need culture help.
So I don't feel like it's worth it for that aspect, and I just don't see any pluses that put him this high. And to be honest, I went with him too because we're doing a mock draft, and I have to go with what I think is going to happen. But talent-wise, I would have him much lower in this draft. I wouldn't waste a top 10
You had him
pick
Jabari Smith. You had him picking Jabari Smith.
I do.
Chet.
I do.
Oh, okay.
But Chet is second to Oklahoma City, and I just feel like that's what they would do.
Yeah.
Not that that's the best move.
Okay, so let's go to Oklahoma City. I have Jabari Smith Jr., Chet Holmgren. I think Jabari Smith Jr. is actually a great fit for the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think he's going to slide in beautifully to some of their existing playmakers. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Giddey are both, the ball-dominant guys. And Jabari Smith Jr., from all reports, does not need the ball. From watching him, he can play off ball. He's a great shooter. And I think you put him in there with what they've got with Shai, Giddey, Trey Mann, Luguentus Dort, JRE. They're starting to brew something there in Oklahoma City. And I think they just need a center, and they're going to be hitting the ground running. Well, we're going to see some more wins from OKC this year.
Potentially. I don't put a ton of thought into what Oklahoma City's doing. They need players at pretty much every position as far as I'm concerned.
Except guard.
Except for maybe guard.
Yeah.
But with these 3 guys at the top, any 3 of them would plug and play with them and be good to go, which is the same reason why with the Rockets, I have Paulo going there, but you would have
Yeah, I got Paulo going to the.
Well.
I have Paulo.
Okay.
We both have him going there.
Yeah.
I mean, just because
he's the next best player,
right?
He fits a need for them.
Yeah,
he's going to work well. And look, that could be a scary team, the Rockets, with that group if they all continue to develop.
They have got a pretty good core. Their culture was kind of in shambles early on, but I think they got that ship righted. They have a good center in Christian Wood. Jalen Green, as the guard, came on hot at the end of the year. They also have Kevin Porter Jr., another guard. Your best friend, the witch doctor, Alperen Şengün, is a very solid man at the center forward-y position. Kenyon Martin Jr., Josh Christopher, a forward and a guard. So, I mean,
I'm almost a little envious of where the Houston Rockets are, to be honest. If I am just being totally honest, I don't like that we got the number 1 pick. Because there are so many ways that it can be screwed up. And there's so many options and stuff like that. Whereas if you're sitting second or third, you just take the best of what's left, right? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where I thought we were going to end up in this thing. And that's why I was thinking, we get Paulo because he's going to be around at 2 or 3. And that's what we really need on this team. So we'll get him. And who knows? Maybe they'll still take him first overall. I mean, I like his game. I'd be very happy with either him or Jabari. So I feel like you could make a case for any of these top 3 switching around. And I don't think anybody would slap you across the face and say you're dumb. So
right. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think they lucked out getting in the top 3. You know, that's where you wanted to be in this best of 3 draft.
Right.
They won't have to think about
the best way that we can make use of having this number 1 pick, for me, immediately, is if they somehow get some sort of a trade going and either trade the pick or they need to benefit just other than getting to pick first, because no one's really sure who the best is.
Well,
right?
that's the thing in
so
this draft.
if you can, if there's a way that they can get even future draft capital or a player or something like that.
Well, don't go into the trade cage yet, sir.
Well, I won't, but
step
just
out.
know.
Yeah.
I'm lacing them up.
All right, so those are the top 3 guys in some order. We'll probably go like that on draft night.
Yep.
Next is Sacramento. I've got Jaden Ivey going there. Because
our next 3 we just alternated them.
Flip those ones again.
We kind of feel like those are the next best 3 players.
Yeah, I mean, I went Jaden Ivey over Shaedon Sharpe for Sacramento just because I don't know really jack about Shaedon Sharpe too much, but in watching his high school film, he seems like he's a point guard, even though he's a pretty tall guard. Maybe he can play 2 guard, but it seemed like he needed the ball in his hands. Watching Jaden Ivey, the way people talked about him as this Ja Morant-like type of player, I thought he was a point guard, a ball-dominant guy. But when we watched some of his games in the tournament, he's like a 2 guard. He plays off ball really well, and I think him next to De'Aaron Fox would be a nice match.
Agree. I think Jaden Ivey is more talented than Keegan. I honestly think Jaden Ivey could be one of the top 3 in this draft. Personally, I'd rather have him than Chet Holmgren.
He's going to be playing with a chip on his shoulder too.
But he is going to be a great player. I just felt like Jaden Ivey doesn't fit what the Kings are looking for quite as much. I feel like they've got their 2 guards that they kind of feel good with, good enough that they got rid of Halliburton. So why would they draft Jaden Ivey unless he was the best thing left and they were further down the draft? Now that they've moved up, I don't know. I feel like they were scouting guys in the middle, though, so they probably fell in love with a Keegan Murray or a Shaedon Sharpe, like you're suggesting.
Yeah.
So that's probably just the route they're going to go.
But. Well, you worked in trades, which was unfair because I did not know we were doing that. But I think that this draft is going to have definitely some movement in the top 10 because you got a team like Sacramento who's now at 4. And they want to win. I mean, they just made a move trading away, as you said, Tyrese Halliburton, a very talented, second? Now he's going to own his 3rd-year guard.
Yep.
And for a guy in Domantas Sabonis, who is a very talented big and a win-now type of guy, pairing him with De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, they haven't made the playoffs in like 17 years or something like that.
Yeah, it's close to 20 years.
They're kind of like
they want to make the playoffs. And so are they going to pick a guy at 4 who is a high upside guy? I mean, most of the time these guys at the front of the draft, they may not be the most NBA ready guys, but they're the ones with the most upside.
Right.
Sometimes they take a couple years to develop.
Sure.
Do they want that, or are they going to make a trade for a guy like John Collins, who they've been linked to, or Detroit is trying to move off of Jeremy Grant? So are they going to move those picks for guys like that and try to get more talent to win now? I think they probably will.
It's possible. I was looking at some trade options for the Kings, but I just kept it lower on the draft.
You kept it lower. All right. So
I didn't want to mess with the top of the draft too much. Because, I mean, I think, and we both feel like these are the top 6 players in the draft. Obviously, we kind of mixed them up there a little bit. There's definitely some other guys lower than this that could go higher, but I feel like those are going to be the first 6 names that you'll hear. Where they land could be differing, depend on whose goes 1, 2, 3. But, it'll all work out.
Yeah. So then Detroit, you have Keegan Murray, is that right? No.
Detroit, I have Jaden Ivey. For some reason, in my
had
head, when I hear Jaden Ivey playing in the NBA,
Oh.
I've seen him in a Pistons jersey.
Wow, it came to you in a dream.
I've always seen it. It just, I feel like he's going to end up there. I thought that before the lottery. I just thought somehow he's probably going to end up there. And, man, with him and Cunningham, those are good 2 building blocks there. Like, the Pistons could be trouble in a few years.
Honestly, I like the rationale I just gave for Jaden Ivey to Sacramento playing off of De'Aaron Fox even more with him playing off Cade Cunningham. But since he's off my board, I just have them getting the next best player, a high upside guy, because they're even kind of a step behind us in terms of rebuilding. They need as many talent guys as possible, and Shaedon Sharpe could be that guy, perhaps the biggest upside of the draft. They've got Cade, they've got Sadiq Bey at the forward shooting guard, they've got Marvin Bagley, they've got Isaiah Stewart, who I really like. They have Luka Garza. We have an autographed Luka Garza if anyone out there wants it. That we unboxed on Card Cousins. But they could use some more playmaking, so Sharp could feel that. But again, I think that Detroit could be making some moves here. You know,
if there's a team in the middle that we make a trade with, I could see it being Detroit.
Yeah.
I could see them wanting that number 1 overall pick. There was someone they liked. They thought they were going to be in the top 3, and they're not, and they want them. How bad do they want them?
Yeah.
Are we getting Sadiq Bey in their 5th-round pick, and are we comfortable with
Jeremy
that?
Grant?
Or are we going to just do the draft? They're going to take Jaden Ivey and then swap him to us. I don't know what scenarios could possibly play out. But the Pistons, even though they're in the 5th spot, they're still looking good. They're still going to get a prospect that's going to mesh with their team, and they still can make some moves if they want to. So despite there not being a lot of guys you look at and go, oh, that's a surefire Hall of Famer, there's still a lot of good pieces and good players in this draft that teams are they need.
Yeah. All right, next is the Pacers. You have them taking Shaedon Sharp.
Yep.
Next best player. Any other rationale on that one, Peish?
No. Just sort of feels like he could easily go top 5, and, well, here I was at 6. So.
Yeah, so you got to put him in
and
there.
And the Pacers need a lot of pretty much everything.
Things.
So they need upgrades at positions that they think are filled.
Yeah.
And they're doing a whole rebuild thing, and when you rebuild, this is how it goes.
Yeah, I don't think they need a guard, though, because they got Halliburton. They have Malcolm Brogdon, although he's been tied in trade rumors. They have Chris Duarte, who was on second team All-Rookie and was kind of the surprise of the draft last year. And I know those guys aren't necessarily game stoppers except Halliburton. He's a guy that maybe they're going to build around. Right. They also, of course, have Miles Turner on that squad. So I just really like the fit of Keegan Murray. They have a guy much like we do in Jonathan Isaac and TJ Warren. This is a guy who had an awesome bubble and then got injured. I don't remember exactly how, but hasn't played since.
Oh.
And
did he write a book?
No, he did not write a book. Okay. No, so he's not quite the same as RJI. But I think that drafting a guy like Keegan Murray who can play that 3-4 wing position would be some insurance for TJ Warren at a cheaper cost, and I think he'll slide in well next to those guys that we already talked about, Halliburton, Turner, Brogdon, and Duarte. It's a solid squad. With the second year of Rick Carlisle, I thought the Pacers were going to be the breakout team last year, but maybe
a lot of people did.
Yeah, maybe this year is their year with the second year of a coach, although they had a lot of turnover.
They don't need to break out. Teams need to be in the lower half.
Just be consistent. Fine. Yeah.
Teams need to finish 12th.
I don't want them to break out. Because if they break out, we can't break out. We're the ones breaking out.
We're the ones breaking out. Screw them.
Yeah. So who'd you have going to Portland now, Pish?
Well, this is the trade where I have the Wizards trading up because I think they're loving Dyson Daniels. I've seen a lot of stuff on him recently. He had a good combine. Obviously, he was playing in the G League Ignite. Those guys are good players.
Yeah, pros.
Just seems like the kind of fit that would be good there, especially if the Wizards are losing Beal. They're going to need somebody to hang their hat on. And at 10, they may feel like they're not getting that guy, and they may want to trade up. And this may be an overreach. They may not need to do this, but they might do it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I like what you're thinking here because if anyone's going to trade, and this is why this top 10 I just feel like is going to be an exciting draft night, and that's why we need to get our butts to Brooklyn, Peach. We're over here in Connecticut. If we have any folks out there listening to this podcast and you're in the tri-state area, we'd love to organize a meetup before the draft, get a big crew of Magic fans there and just go crazy because I think it is going to be an interesting night.
It is.
Portland does not want anything to do with this pick. I mean,
doesn't seem like it.
It's kind of a team in disarray. I am not at all jealous of where you are right now, Portland Trailblazers. I apologize to the fans. I'm not.
Portland's
jealous.
a nice city.
A very nice city. I love it. Very, very chic. If you want great tater tots, you can get them there. There's just like that weird hippie town where it's everyone, everyone's a connoisseur of something. It's that weird type of hippie town where if you want linguini, there's a guy in a bus making the best linguini. Okay. If you want the best tater tots, as I said, there's a guy with a little shack that's making it up, and he's got.
I don't know if I've ever had a bad tater tot, so I don't think I need to go to Portland for that. But
okay, yeah.
Okay,
the example
I get that they have variety.
I
get that they have variety.
Okay, all right, we're moving on.
Linguini from a bus sounds interesting.
But really, the fact of the matter is, Lillard wants to win. He wants to win. I don't think the GM that stepped in and made those trades at the end of last season did them any help. What pieces do they have? They got Anthony Simons. who is a good young player.
Absolutely.
But then, Josh Hart, also a pretty good young player. Nazir Little, Keon Johnson, Drew Eubanks, Justin Winslow, Joe Ingles. Like, who are we? I'm not excited about that. Nurkic, their center, is a free agent this year. Are they going to re-sign him? There's a lot of question marks.
I mean, I like that Dame is trying to stick with Portland and try to make them a winner.
That.
I respect that. I'm all for that. Obviously, you get familiar with an organization or a town and you want to live there. You got your family there. All good.
Yep.
But don't make statements that you want to win a championship when they're doing very little to help you. I'm almost feeling like he's saying this so that, like, in a couple of years he can change his mind and be like, well, I just asked them to bring some stuff in and they didn't.
Yeah, I don't think anyone will begrudge Damian Lillard for leaving after this season if they don't make drastic
changes. He could leave
tomorrow. Yeah, for sure.
And people will be like, it's all good.
And that's why they need to trade this pick, and they probably will. But because I didn't know about trades, I have them taking Jeremy Sokan. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, bro. I know you're watching. Out of Baylor. We saw him play a little bit. Kind of a crybaby. I don't really seems like a hothead a little bit, but
he's got a motor.
Yeah, the intangibles are kind of there. Yeah. He's got the athleticism. He's that 6'9", long arm wing.
Yep.
Super good on defense with some offensive upside. I mean, you've got Damian Lillard, so you got the offense pretty well handled.
Yeah. That feels like a smart pick, though, and this is clearly an organization not doing smart things.
Okay, you're right. You're right.
So
that's
you made a good pick for them. Maybe you should be the GM.
Hey, I think I would have done a better job than whatever that guy did last year. All right, so what do you have for Portland, Peach? Do you have them trading this or?
Well,
you didn't.
We did 7. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
We're on 8 with the Pelicans.
Okay.
And I went with Johnny Davis from Wisconsin, and I see you've got AJ Griffin there. I think those are similar bags.
Yeah, pretty much. I think Johnny Davis brings a little bit more playmaking, but with C.J. McCollum there and Zion coming back potentially point forward, I thought they more needed a guy like AJ Griffin to shoot and play D.
Yeah, I mean, New Orleans is in good shape, man. If they come back with Zion next year, they looked real good this year in the playoffs.
Yep.
They've got a good thing going there. So whoever it is that they add in this spot is going to just basically become a bench role guy probably. I mean, unless they develop into a superstar, which would be great for them because they've already got a bunch there. So they're good.
God, this has to just grind Portland's gears, though. They trade away C.J. McCollum to try to get some assets and then the tank. And then the team they traded him to is playing better, and they're picking right behind him in the draft.
Well, that's kind of why I picked them to jump ahead so that they could at least get whoever they thought New Orleans was going to take. They could just snag.
I don't know. This New Orleans pick is from somebody else, though, I believe. I don't know if that's their pick. I'm pretty sure. But maybe I think that's from the Lakers, from the
Anthony Davis. Yeah, I believe it is.
So next is San Antonio. I have them taking Jalen Duren.
As do I.
Okay, we both have it. You can't win with Jakob Poeltl as your center.
You can't.
They've got some good things going with DeJounte Murray. I'd like to see him throwing lobs to Jalen Duren. The guy's got a motor. He can play down low. Great defense.
Spurs known for big men, drafting big men and having it go well.
Yeah.
This just seems like a fit that they need.
Yeah.
They could even move Poeltl to 4, probably.
Yeah, I don't know Poeltl's game too much. Does he have any type of ice
outside?
Yeah,
he can shoot.
Okay, all right. So then last we have Washington. I have them taking Benedict Mathurin. I figure with all the uncertainty around Bradley Beal, they'll need a guy who's dynamic and can score. I could have put in Johnny Davis in this spot too, though. Just a guy who can get a bucket.
Absolutely.
I like Benedict Mathurin for that. Great shooter too.
Yeah, I like Benedict a lot too. I actually have him going 11th, even though we're only doing the top 10 here today. But at number 10, I had the Portland Trailblazers from the swap with the Wizards going with Nikola Jovic. Been hearing a lot about this guy.
That's a reach.
And I'm not looking for it, but it's kind of coming at me, and I feel like it's only going to heat up. Like all the good stuff you're hearing about this guy continues. His name sounds a lot like Nikola Jokic, and apparently his game is similar as well. He's more like a point center, which, as you can see, has worked well for the 2-time MVP. So I think other teams are going to really want this, and I could see that the Blazers could think, well, that's kind of a guy we want.
Yeah.
If we can trade down and still get him, let's do it.
Yeah.
So even though it's a little bit of an overshoot, maybe at 10 right now, they'd still do it because it's considered they're wheeling and dealing. They don't care. They're eating linguini at trucks.
Well, we teased a lot of trades there for draft night, but now, Peach, it's time to enter the cage, the trade cage. 2 men enter, 2 opinions in, but only one will prevail.
All right. You sold it.
Yeah.
I came up with the name earlier today. It wasn't sold.
You didn't like it?
Now I'm in.
Okay.
Now I'm in.
Right.
Yeah.
Pisha's a big wrestling fan. He's been getting me into it a little bit. I watched a little bit of AEW last night. So first match of the night was a cage match. So this is kind of fitting here.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but it just kind of was in there.
It was in there. Yeah, it was subconscious probably. Right. So we're just going to run through some trades potentially for the Orlando Magic #1 pick. And
these are ones other people have posted.
Yes,
this is not our
This
idea.
is taken from the internet. We may give our 2 cents at the end, but these are just some that we've taken off the interwebs. We asked you in our last pod on the #1 draft special podcast to provide some trade options or some scenarios, and we talk about it on the show, and
we have them.
Here we are on the trade cage, Pish.
If he doesn't give his 2 cents, I'm going to use his and give 4. So.
All right, what do you start us off, Pish? This is your baby.
All right, well, I found this one on the Magic Nation page on Facebook. Somebody had reposted this from the NBA Analysis Network that here's 2 trade packages to send the Rockets' John Wall to the Magic. Now, I'm only to show you one. They're ridiculous. But this one was the I don't know if this one was more ridiculous than the other one, but the Rockets received Mo Bamba, I'm guessing in a sign and trade, Jonathan Isaac, and Terrence Ross. And the Magic received John Wall, the 2023 first-round pick that they got from Milwaukee, and a 2024 first-round pick from Brooklyn. What? What? Like, how does somebody sit down and go, oh, I got to write an article today, and go, oh, I'm going to come with this. Yeah, this is good.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do. Asinine. I mean, this kind of goes into the whole, like we've seen lately with some of the guys showing up on ESPN and stuff like that just to talk trash.
Right.
It's almost like they're just doing it to get a reaction.
To just
this
troll
one
Magic fans.
Just seems too ridiculous. Yeah, this seems like a definite troll to Magic fans. You're giving us the unknown John Wall, not like a prime John Wall.
Yeah, the hurt
and then
John
a pick
Wall.
the year from this one's from Milwaukee. It's going to be a crap pick.
Crap pick in Brooklyn too. Probably
Brooklyn in a couple of years might be crappy again because
they
may be getting out, but that's not a deal that makes any sense for anyone. Although when you think about the fact that we could be losing Ross and Bamba for nothing, and I'm totally fine with losing Jonathan Isaac.
Yeah,
there's some meat on this bone, but it's just not the right pieces.
You see what they're trying to do. I am not at all a fan of losing Jonathan Isaac. I've been walking through the desert without water for 2 years waiting for this man to suit up for him because I got so excited watching him play for our team when he was. I'm not giving up on him. I want to see him in the jersey again, the pinstripes again.
He sends me highlights. He says, watch this. It's like, I've seen him.
Yeah, it was 2 years ago, I know, but watch this. And so I'm not giving up Jonathan Isaac. All these trade scenarios that are trying to get us to give up Jonathan Isaac, I'm not giving him up. And I don't understand all of these trade scenarios also that are featuring Mo Bamba. He's a free agent. I don't even know if we've tendered our offer to him to make him a restricted free agent. I thought the tendering period was after the draft, but please fact check me on that out there, ladies and gentlemen. So I don't even know if we've tendered him an offer to make him a restricted free agent. We're talking as if he's a restricted free agent, but I'm not sure that he is yet.
Yeah, I don't think that's.
I don't know if he is yet. True. And if he's going to be included in a trade, again, like you said, it'd have to be a sign and trade, and there's a whole bunch of hoops to jump through for that. Sure. I mean, Terrence Ross wants out. I don't think he wants to go to Houston. Don't think he'd love us for that.
Houston's building a little bit. They got some young guys, but he's basically moving.
More building.
He's moving to the same situation.
Yeah, he's moving laterally. He doesn't want to do that. He said he wants to compete for a championship. So this isn't happening. Maybe if you gave me their first round pick, if you gave me Houston's first round pick for a couple years, I might be more interested because they're not a very great squad. I think they're going to be a middling team, especially in the West for another
on the rise
couple years. They're on the rise, but they're still going to be in the lottery, I think, next year.
The best part, I was thinking about, wow, do I even want to share this one? But now I'm glad I did because I learned that when it comes to Jonathan Isaac, you're never going to give him up. You're never going to let him down. Mm-mm. You're never going to run around or desert him.
Never going to give you up. Never going to let you down. Never going to run around and desert you.
So we've learned because you've been in the desert and you're dry. So that you had to take a drink. And you all got rickrolled. Let's rickroll on to the next one. That's how you segue, kids. We got this one here. These are all from our last show, our draft lottery special now, where we ask people to give us some trade scenarios. And then when we talk about them on the show, we are delivering right now. We've got this one here from Rafael Perez, who says Orlando's number 1, Markel, and T. Ross to Sacramento for De'Aaron Fox, Dante DiVincenzo, and the number 4 pick. And then he suggests that we get Ivy or Sharp. And then he says sign Bobby Portis or Montrezl Harrell. And then he says the finals in 3 years. What say you? You're doing a lot of typing up there.
I'm trying to figure out the date for the tendering of the qualifying offers, but I will jump in on this.
I was hoping that you were writing a love letter to Jonathan Isaac.
Well, I would write a love letter to Markelle Fultz because, as we've talked about already on this show,
what's happening?
That is the man who is going to drive. He is the locomotion for the locomotive. He's the front of the train. Okay, he's the front of the train. He's the one putting the coal in the little chute, all right? He's making this thing go. I'm not giving him for anything, and I'm definitely not sending him to Sacramento for De'Aaron Fox's huge contract, Dante DiVincenzo, and the number 1 pick?
Number 4, yeah.
Number 4 pick? And are we sending the number 1 pick out?
That's what he's suggesting, I believe.
That's ridiculous. Why would we give up the number 1 pick for a crappier pick and crappier players? We're sending out a better pick, better players for crappier players and a crappier pick. I don't understand. And then all these other variables, like Bobby Portis is going to want to come to the Magic, as will Montrezl Harrell. I mean, I like Montrezl Harrell. He's a hustle guy. He was a 6-man candidate a couple years ago.
I love Bob Portis.
Yeah, I mean, they're great players, but Bobby Portis has got a good thing going in Milwaukee. I don't think he wants to leave. Not sure what his contract details are.
They locked him up.
But Rafael Perez, sir, you must really love Jaden Ivey because this is crazy.
Right. I mean, yeah, look, I love Ivy too. I just don't see a good way for him to get on our team. And I think he was kind of trying to find a way to get Ivy and clearing the hole by having Kell go in there in this trade. But, yeah, this is too much to give up. And DiVincenzo is not a piece that I don't feel like we need right now. Other people made some suggestions underneath there, and you can see I chimed in with we are using this in the next show for sure. And here we are.
I got a fact check for myself, Peach.
This looks like the kind of move that he was playing the video game, and he did this, and this happened. Which, if it did, and it worked for you, and you got to the finals in 3 years, that's cool, but, it's real life now.
I got a couple things to fact check here that people may want to know, Peach. So the day for offering for an offer sheet for a qualifying offer for a restricted free agent, his team must submit a qualifying offer to the player between the day after the last game of the finals. Okay. That doesn't make any sense.
All right.
So
neither did a lot of these trade offers, so this fits right in.
Yeah, so this is on NBA.com, and you have a typo, NBA.com, from an English teacher. But it seems like we can't offer and make him a restricted free agent until the day after the finals. Sure. So everyone talking as if he's already a restricted free agent for Mo Bamba, I'm thinking of, no.
Right.
And De'Aaron Fox, a 5-year, $163 million contract. I think he's in, year 2 or 3 of that? I don't want that. I don't want a $35 million a year De'Aaron Fox right now. Raphael.
I mean, it's just not a good deal.
No.
It's not a good deal.
And no.
I feel like what's happening a little bit in reverse of the Wilt God effect is now happening to you, where you're really trying to find the facts and figures that make this trade not good. You can just look at it and be like, it's no good.
Yeah. The other thing that this doesn't make sense either, because if our GMs would think that De'Aaron Fox and Jaden Ivey would be a good pairing, then Sacramento can probably get him at 4 and do it themselves.
Sure. In purple, but,
Yeah, right.
Same idea.
Exactly. All right, next one, Peach.
All right, next one is from Thomas Taliaferro.
Okay.
That's my guess on that name.
All right.
He's asking if we would trade J.I. and Suggs for Donovan Mitchell.
Yep.
Maybe picks beside number 1, 2.
Yeah.
And then also asked if Wendell, Paulo, J.I., Franz, and Cole will work.
Okay. I commented on Thomas's post earlier today. This is on our YouTube channel. And I don't think Thomas is a Magic fan. I think he's another team's fan because he's saying y'all, as if would you trade.
Sure.
And so he put Cole in the starting lineup. We already talked about that.
Exactly.
We've covered that. That's not happening.
Right.
Would I trade J.I. and Suggs for Donovan Mitchell? Now, I did just finish writing my love letter to J.I., but if you're going to give me a bona fide guy like Donovan Mitchell, I'm listening. I would actually listen to this.
Whew.
If we're not giving up the number 1 pick. If you give me Donovan Mitchell, and we give up what other picks do we have? A 32 and a 35 and J.I. and Suggs. You got to listen. I mean, I'm excited for Suggs' potential, but it's just that right now. It's potential. Donovan Mitchell has been on teams that have gone deep into the playoffs. He is a legitimate all-star, a bona fide scorer, a guy that can get you 35, 40, 50 points.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Suggs is very far from that.
Okay.
Jonathan Isaac could be one of the best rim protectors in the game, or his knees could be shot. We will wait and see.
Right.
I gotta believe optimistically. I'm not. I would be willing to give him up potentially for Donovan Mitchell, not for De'Aaron Fox and Dante DiVincenzo.
Agreed. No, this one actually has a little bit of leg.
Yeah.
Man, I have a hard time parting with Suggs though. I just feel like his
for Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, I think you like Donovan Mitchell more than I do. I like Donovan Mitchell because Donovan Mitchell gets a lot of those points because he's the best player on that team and he's their best option. Sort of like how we had guys stuff the stat sheet for a long time. They looked good, then we sent them off for other parts, and we kind of made good on it.
You're off.
I think he's a good player.
Yeah,
I really do, and I'd
good,
like to have him on the team. And if J.I. and Suggs was the cost, I think I'd be like, we do what we had to do.
Yeah,
you know,
it'd
but
be tough.
I don't think they would. I don't think Utah would entertain that one.
Yeah,
you're taking a big chance on J.I. coming back from this injury, and Suggs had an injury this past year too. Although I don't think they should hold that one against him, but they would need more to sweeten that deal. I don't know if I'd want to give up even the 2 second-round picks in Suggs and J.I. for Donovan.
Yeah, I would do that probably.
All right,
I would do that.
All right. Well, we'll see.
Donovan Mitchell is a legitimate player.
Get at us. Maybe Thomas works for one of these teams, the Utah. He wants to know.
All right, next in the cage, Peach.
All right, next we've got Pale Horse.
Is that me?
I don't know. Are you a white horse?
I'm a white whore.
Interesting. All right.
No, I'm a married man. I'm happily married. Let's get off of that.
Yeah. Good joke, though.
Yeah.
It says number 5, Sadiq Bey, and a future first for number 1. Take Ivy, Sharp, or Murray, or if any of the top 3 drop. You wrote back and said, ooh, going to have to discuss this next full episode.
Mm-hmm.
Here we are. Mm-hmm. And we did talk about a little bit during the draft that the Pistons would be a team that could be looking to move around, and this seems like something they may come to the table with. What are your thoughts?
I think I was being nice to Pale Horse because I don't really like this when I'm looking at it now. I mean,
well, I didn't say you liked it. You just said we're gonna have to discuss it.
Yeah,
so
that's
I figured
true.
you had to take one way or the other.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure you felt heard, Pale Horse.
Yeah,
but I don't like this. I mean, Sadiq Bey is a solid wing player, but
yeah, I like Sadiq a lot.
You know, we've got Franz. He's smaller than Franz. I think he's like 6'8", so he's more like a 2-3 instead of like a 3-4 like Franz and Chuma. But we've got like an R.J. Hampton and you know some other guys that can play that wing big guard position.
Right. So Sadiq Bey doesn't really fit our team well.
Right.
Unless we were moving somebody in the deal to make way for him, and we're not. But then you're suggesting we take another player like Keegan Murray that kind of fills that role as well, and now you're log jamming us in a position that, you know, we're looking to get one of these 3 guys because we need another big. So like trading away from that and not getting a big,
I know. I don't
really
love
what
it.
we're
I
after.
don't love it. I mean, I guess you'd take maybe like Sharp if you want a guy with a crazy upside, but that's kind of
I feel like we're looking for a 4 or 5 to complete our starting lineup.
That's probably what we need.
And that's available in the first 3 picks. I don't see us moving from that unless there's somebody else coming to us that like can fill one of those voids. If we did some sort of a trade with the Jazz, I think Rudy Gobert coming here makes more sense. And then if we trade it down and get one of these other guys, that makes a little more
or
noise.
If they throw in, you know, Jeremy Grant, who is a guy who's been an all-star, albeit empty stats on kind of a crap team for those years. He's been an all-star.
But nephew of Horace.
That would be sick. I mean, he only has 1 year left on his contract, and then he's an unrestricted free agent, so it's pretty much a Jeremy Grant rental plus like a Sadiq Bey plus the 5 and a future first, and we have to send back maybe like a Jonathan Isaac or a Chuma or in like the number 1 pick or something. Because we have to make that contract work. I think he's making $25 million, so we'd probably have to send back, J.I. and another player to
Yeah.
make that work. But I don't love it. I think that's a lateral move. I don't.
Yeah.
With this draft being top heavy in the top 3, and we won it, why are we going to trade out of it to the Pistons at 5? They're the
Agreed.
ones that lost. They're us last year.
Sure.
Looking on the outside looking in.
All right. The last one is from Vishnu. I'm not going after that last name. I'm going to pass. If you want to have a stab at it, go for it.
Jayakumar.
All right. Nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, you know what? That is what it is.
Yeah.
Well done. He wrote this. Put it up on the screen.
Yeah. The manifesto.
I haven't finished reading this yet. I started last Wednesday. It's a comment section, not the library. If you have this much to say, start your own podcast. It's clearly he's passionate about the Magic. He has some good takes. You read it.
I did read it.
You know,
I agreed with everything
think about
he said in it.
Think about starting a podcast if you got this much to
We
say.
should
'Cause
have Vishnu on.
that's too much for a comment section.
Yeah. Hey, the passion is just effusive with all of our Magic fan base right now. It's certainly there with Vishnu right now.
Everybody's lit, man.
Yeah.
Everybody's like
His
a
fingers
kid
were
in a
on
candy
fire.
store with $100 bill. They're just like, let's go. We're buying everything. We're doing everything. We're trading everybody over here or there. You know what? Sometimes it's fun to speculate, but in the end of the day, sometimes you'll look back at what you said, including maybe this whole trade cage segment, and you'll be like, oh, that was kind of a waste of time. For me, I don't think there's a lot of good trades for us to make unless we draft Chet. If we draft Chet first and don't trade him, you know I'm going to go off the deep end. I haven't talked about it a lot this show. You already heard me on the last one. But if we draft him, I'm going to hold out hope that we're trading him to somebody else, and somebody else is going to be the sucker that takes him. That's the only trade that I feel like we should be a part of unless we're getting some capital back, but still going to get the player we want at like 2 or 3 or whatever. I feel like that's...
I agree. I think with this being a 3-player draft, the only position I'm really comfortable trading to would be the 2 or the 3, making a trade with Houston or Oklahoma City. I think Oklahoma City has the draft capital to do it if they really want Chet and they know John Hammond and God love them some lanky basketball player. They may give us the number 2 and a future first round that they have in their stockpile, and we get Jabari Smith Jr. and another first-round pick that we can use as draft trade capital, or we could take that pick later on because they've got a cache of them. So maybe we can get 2 off of them if they're really desperate for Chet.
That would really be a winning scenario for me.
That's the only
Even
one
though I
I
would
see,
hate to see the Magic call Chet Holmgren's name on draft day.
Yeah.
So we'd always have to mention him with our franchise.
Okay.
It would be it would be nice to then still get the guy that we want or need or a player that is good for us, and then get all that capital. So that's about where I'm at on that. I think we scouted probably a lot of guys in that, from like 7 or 8, 9, 10, because we didn't know where we were going to end up in this draft, and maybe we fell in love with somebody a little lower, so we're totally fine bumping down. But I still feel like they need to focus on that 4 or 5 slot and figure out a way to fill that with a future star.
Yeah. Well, I don't see us trading it, so I think we're gonna get our guy and move on.
I hope so, and I hope that guy's name is Jabari or Paula.
Well, from the draft to the place where we're trying to be, an update on our playoff bracket. It's getting now down towards the end, and
I got an extra day.
Peach lives to fight another day with the Dallas Mavericks getting a win against the Warriors, but I don't see him coming back and getting 3 more in a row.
Yeah, this whole playoffs was ruined in one day in 2 Game 7s where the Suns and the Bucks both were upset.
Yeah.
And now I was just like, man, I don't even know if I care about the playoffs anymore. And I'm mad at the Mavericks for screwing it up. And then I had to start rooting for them to save my beard. I do like Luka Doncic, though. I don't really have anything against the Mavs in principle, except for the fact that they've ruined my bracket. And now I'm dependent upon them. And they put a stinker up in the first 3 games. And I got to hope that they can turn it around and be the first team ever to come back from 3-0 down. It's 3-1 right now.
Yeah,
as we speak. So
I don't know, Peach.
The razor is charging. We're preparing to make some adjustments to the face.
The cold open of this episode may have been Peach's beard gone. So you will have your answer, ladies and gentlemen, definitely by the next episode as to who has won our playoff bracket. But Peach needs the Warriors to fall, and it does not look like it's going to happen.
And if they do, then we get to stay as hairy as we want. 'Cause
Both of us will be tied.
We'd be tied at that point.
Okay, cool. Well, you know what? That's what I'm hoping for. Let's go Dallas. Let's go Dallas.
Go sports!
Yeah,
Yay.
team ball. Yeah, I love it. Like let's both keep our hair. We both look sexy as hell.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thanks. I'll take that.
Yeah. Let's feel good going into the end of the show. Stick
Indeed.
around, ladies and gentlemen, though, for the first ever large ending.
Oh, it's large.
It's large. But first, we got to thank you all for watching. If you're still with us this long, thanks very much. Please like and subscribe. Check out our Card Cousins page. We do box openings, box battles, all that stuff. So if you love NBA basketball cards, that's the channel for you. And definitely a special shout out to our second cousins, Gloria, Damien, Nadra, and Connor. We'd really appreciate if you could.
Is that not the shout out we're doing?
No, that was like a yodel piece.
I don't know. Just shouting out.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
I'm not sure how this works.
If you want a piece shout out, join us on Patreon for as little as $5 a month. You can buy us a beer, help support the show financially, and you get entered into a raffle, even just for that $5, to win cool Magic swag. We're going to be giving away jerseys, cards, all types of paraphernalia. So get in and help us out and get rewarded for it. Check out the eBay, Court Cousins, if you're into sports card deals. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the large ending. So the large ending piece is 1 minute, rapid fire, an homage to our friends at PTI, one of my favorite sports shows.
Indeed, mine as well.
Their big finish, ours is the large ending.
All right.
You ready for the timer piece?
Let's do it.
All right.
Spurs got some new logos. Their new alternate logos. What do you think of them?
I'm feeling the one with Texas and the spur in the middle. The spur looks legit, and I think it's cool that they're trying to claim the whole state of Texas.
I agree. Also, it was pointed out that dot lands right on about the Austin area, which is where they're
Very cool. 42
the
seconds.
Austin Spurs play. So
Big Baby Davis is set to join the next Jake Paul boxing card. Will you tune in, Peach?
I'd like to see him get it punched in the face. So I'm going to say yes. What's your favorite WNBA team? You got one?
Gotta go with the Connecticut Sun, baby!
Ooh. Well, I like Sue
I'm a
Bird,
homer.
but I think I'm going to go with the New York Liberty. Love the jerseys. They're tight.
All right. More disappointing series loss. I might know the answer to this one, Peach. Suns or the Penguins in hockey?
It's the Suns.
Yeah, sorry. That's the beard.
Stanley Cup playoffs, though. Who you got? Who's winning the cup?
You know me. I love some stick puck. I'm going to go with the New York Rangers because I hear all the time on local sports radio here.
Colorado Avalanche. Book it.
Last one, Peach. Of all the free agents, who do you want back most? Rolo, Gary, Bowl, or Bamba?
Rolo.
All right.
Even though it means another year of trying to find pictures of him for ROLO Check-ins.
And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. We'll strive to improve and get better next time in the subsequent show. Peace out, everybody.
Good night, Canada. Thanks for coming.